get set up right here. Because Coach T came in kind of half-cocked. We got to get our mic set up. We got to make sure everything is right. It was just such a hot news cycle that I had to jump on as soon as possible. Mic check 1, 2. This your boy Coach T, man. Talking about this Khalil Mack chain trade. We're out here. We're on live. We had to get out here and jump on the news cycle, man. Everybody else is jumping on the story. So I had to get your thoughts. People in the chat, they coming in live. Want to know how y'all Mack for a second round pick and a 6th next year. Of course, we know about the cap space being cleared out and all that, right? And before we get too far into it, man, y'all know that I like to give out the Drunk Uncle Award. And just yesterday, when going over free agency, going down the roster, free agent roster moves that I thought the Bears would make, Coach T said that there was no way, and I gave out the Drunk Uncle Award to anybody who would suggest that the Bears, getting settled right here still, that the Bears would trade Khalil Mack. I gave out the Drunk Uncle Award because it was just that preposterous to me. So guess what I'm going to do to be fair, man? Guess what I'm going to do to be fair? I'm going to give myself a Drunk Uncle Award, bro. How about that? Let me hit it for 1 second. We'll be back. But I'm going to be fair. I'm an equal opportunity Drunk Uncle Award giver. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, so there you have it. Coach T gets his portion of the Drunk Uncle Award. What up, NJ? What up, Anthony? Thanks for joining live. Do me a favor, man. Hit that like. Let's run the algorithm up. Like, subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Yes, if you're back, the Chicago Bears trade away Khalil Mack for a 2nd round pick and a 6th round pick next year. That's 2023. Clears up a bunch of cap room. So San Diego takes on Khalil Mack's full salary. There's like 26 to 30 million over the next 3 years, totaling about, y'all do the math on that, about 60 plus million, right? But we do have a 24, 25 million dead cap space that we can't do anything with this year, right? So that cap space is going to basically sit on standby until next year, where we could use it, right? We could use it next year and probably have about 60 million in cap space ourselves, right? So, like I said, Robert Bretchwell said it was expected. I would believe we would trade down for number 39. I'm not even going to say that. I can't make that statement that it was expected. I didn't see us trading Khalil Mack because he was a quote-unquote system fit. And y'all know how we do it on Chicago Bears 360. It's all about the X's and O's here, right? So we start with system fits. When we're talking about players, we're talking about free agency, when we're talking about football, this channel here, I don't know about all these other channels out there, but this channel is about the X's and O's. We do X's and O's breakdown here. That's why you got your boy Coach T. So yeah, there's going to be a little confusion when we start talking about front office moves and salary cap stuff. Yeah, I don't care about that stuff other than bring you guys the news and talk about it as a fan of football, right? So I'm willing to be wrong on that stuff. It doesn't matter. But when we start talking about them X's and O's on the field, then that's our niche, if you will. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? Am I disappointed? Yes, I'm disappointed. Khalil, here's the thing, right? It's kind of almost like an illusion. Khalil, from a production standpoint, hasn't played that well over the last couple of years. He's been injured last year before. And I said yesterday, he and Eddie Goldman played, to me, uninspired football. Uninspired from the sense that they weren't getting the right buttons pushed by their coach and coaching staff. So that happens with individuals. It happens with us in life. If we work for somebody, a manager that's just a total turnoff, that don't inspire us, they don't necessarily get our best effort. That's what I thought we were getting from a lot of our defensive players, right? And low key during the season, I thought Khalil was probably like, man, look, this season is trash. I'm finna mail it in and save myself where I can, save these reps and wear and tear on my body because this team isn't going anywhere, right? But to Robert's point, I still believe, and I've said the whole time on Twitter, that we would probably trade down from the 39 pick and get another pick. Like we would go 2 for 1 from 39 and get us a pick in the 50s and somewhere in the 80s where I believe the meat of this draft is. And a lot of young, good players at skill positions are. Wide receivers and cornerbacks are deep in this draft. We could come out of this draft with 2 stud wide receivers or a wide receiver and a quarterback that's going to be, key figures in this franchise going forward, right? So I applaud Ryan on his attempt to build a team. I'm not mad at the Khalil Mack trade. It's just a surprise to all of us. And if you were in tone yesterday's live or the pod yesterday, the conversation was more or less, and everybody been having more or less conversation around Eddie Goldman. Because as Bears Twitter, social media universe has caught on to some football terminology, they've been throwing out, we need to get us a true 3 technique. So if we make it about the X's and O's, like I said yesterday, I don't see Eddie going anywhere. Because if you really know what a true 3 technique is, he's an athletic, big, burly, big body, but athletic, thick fit, right? Defensive tackle that can basically get penetration. So the difference between a 3-4 interior lineman and the 4-3 interior lineman is the 3-4 interior linemen are 2 gap guys. They are read and react guys, right? Big bodies that take up 2 gaps, right? You want your 3 technique in a 4-3 defense to be quick and athletic and to be able to get penetration. So a 4-3 defense or interior line is more of a penetration defense, right? Disruptive, get in the backfield and make plays at the defensive line position. Whereas in a 3-4, those guys allow the linebackers to flow and make plays and they just eat up blocks. So what we can gather from this trade is, if we do a little inference, is say this: Khalil Mack gets traded before Eddie Goldman. Khalil Mack gets traded before Eddie Goldman. Now, we still have a long offseason. Eddie very well could be out, right? What this trade teaches me, I know nothing absolutely about front office. But if I try to tie everything back to scheme and what happens on the field, the only thing that I could surmise from the Khalil Mack trade is it was just too much money at that age for the Bears to carry on their books for what they were trying to build for this team. Because he can absolutely be a disruptor at the defensive end position, right? But notice he's going to the Chargers, and if I'm not mistaken, the Chargers play a 3-4 defense. So, that's my loose take and what I have to say on that. We finna go to the comments. As soon as my mouse acts like it want to cooperate, we're going to jump in the comments and see what you guys have to say. Let me scroll down a little bit. Y'all know where it go down at. Where it go down at? It go down in the DM.
It goes down in the DM. It go down in the DM.
All right, that's enough of that. Like I said, Twitter or YouTube, will flag me for using that song. Let me see what y'all got to say, man. Let me scroll up a little bit. Let me get some of these older comments so I'm not missing anywhere. I got where Robert said he expected to happen. Expect us to trade down. Cornelius says the trade is garbage. The Bears did piddly draft picks, no real increase in cap space. Well, you're right, Cornelius, but kind of incorrect at the same time. So the cap space recovery is going to happen next year. We just put it off. I don't have a problem with the trade. What I have a problem with is the compensation, right? So the expectation for me is if you're going to trade away Khalil Mack, right, a generational talent, I'm going to get a high first rounder. When I say high round, I mean like in the 30s, high 20s, right? Or I'm going to get a high second round. I'm going to get somewhere between 1 and 16 in the second round, and then I'm going to add some change on the end. Give me a second, a fourth, and a sixth. At a minimum, we should have got that second, and we would have got a fourth this year and a sixth next year. So, you know what I'm saying? The negotiation part of it leaves a little bit to be desired, right? Now, you have to think about what San Diego, LA Chargers. I went to go see a playoff game in San Diego when I was living in Las Vegas. So it's going to be hard to escape that. Listen, what the Chargers did for the Bears was take on that whole salary. So what the Chargers better do in the next season or two is win a Super Bowl. That's what they better do. Because y'all finna spend about 60, 70 million on a defensive player where you're going to need some other players. You got Bosa that just got a new contract. You got Khalil that got 60 million on the books. As soon as that rookie contract with Herbert goes away, then y'all boys are gonna be in trouble. So you putting yourself on the timetable. Let me stay in these comments. MJ, to be fair, yes, but none of us are GM, so it's cool, my guy. LOL. Yeah, man. But you know what I'm saying? We like to play GM. I don't like to play GM. Well, kind of, sort of. I mean, it's cool to kind of try and anticipate what'll happen in free agency, but again, for me, I'm more of a logical guy than I am an emotional guy. So I'm going to always try and tie it back to system fit, right? To make it make sense for myself and for my audience, right? I'm gonna try and make it. I'm gonna try and connect the dots. That's our job. That's my job. I'm gonna try and connect the dots to make it make sense. Do me a favor, man. Hit the like, subscribe, notifications. We just having fun. We talking, bro. We all family. I'm hollering at my field soldiers. At my field soldiers. Those are the people that subscribe to the channel, man. So people like MJ. It's okay, bro. We can disagree. It ain't contentious. It's all family. We family, bro. Families disagree. Confrontational, as one of my mentors said, doesn't have to be confrontational. So yeah, man, it's. I think we're gonna be good in the long run, right? Do I still trust Ryan after this move? Absolutely, because you think about it. What happens now is all the chatter and conversation about whether Ryan is really the GM or is in control. You can put that to bed because you don't trade Khalil Mack if you're not the guy making the calls, right? Deacon Fu said, Coach T said, player gotta be fit the system. Man, that's what I've said. Yeah, it's always gonna be fit. It's gonna start with the X's and O's with me. So does Khalil Mack fit a 4-3? Yes, he does. Right? He can rush the passer in a 4-3. He can play the run in a 4-3. His age, his injury history, and his production. And then I think the part that nobody thinks about, that I always think about as a coach, is watching Khalil's body language. Not that it was bad, not that it was terrible. Just watch Khalil play. I just felt like he played uninspired football the last 2 seasons. That's just my opinion. Anthony Cobb say, man, Eddie is next. Get rid of Eddie next. Number 4. Get rid of Eddie next. I don't know if that happens, bro. And I'm going to tell you why. It could happen, but I'm going to, again, defer back to the system fit. And the thing that I think everybody looked over with Eddie, I said yesterday that I thought Eddie played uninspired football just like Khalil. But for all my social media coaches out there that love to throw out three technique, not really understanding what a three technique does, Eddie is a prototypical three technique, in my opinion. Now, you want big, burly guys, you want space eaters. Now you're talking about the Hicks of the world, Hakeem Hicks of the world, guys that can eat up two gaps and eat up blocks so linebackers can flow and make plays, as I talked about earlier, right? So just to be clear, we're talking about Eddie Goldman, not Eddie Jackson. Eddie Jackson, we discussed yesterday, and to me, he should be on notice, if anything. I still believe Eddie Jackson is a system fit, but Eddie's play over the last couple years have not inspired anything. Y'all going off in these comments no faster than I can get to them, man. I can't even keep up. All right, so who did I talk about last? I'll just pick something. We need picks. This is Jeff Adams. We need picks. We only had 10 picks over the last 2 years. I agree. We need to get younger, man. We need to get younger at the skill position, and we need to get dynamic at the skill position. We need explosive players at wide receiver, at the slot. I think our two running backs are good. I think our quarterback is the quarterback of the future. I believe, like I said before, I believe that the GM and coaching staff have been being coy about how they feel about Justin Fields. I believe they have a franchise quarterback in him, but they're managing expectations. So they're going to continue to build around him as if he's going to be the starter's franchise of the future. And for all intents and purposes, it's not a bad business decision either, right? It's not a bad business decision. All right, let me just try and pick up a random comment because y'all moving so fast, man. And I'm not tagging all these comments yet. My boy Baki, let me get something from Baki because Baki's my guy. Baki, I need to make you a moderator, my guy. We wasn't going to get a first for him just based off the age and injury history. Plus, with them taking the $63 million, I agree, Baki. The $63 million was a big pill to swallow. Again, I just feel like we could have negotiated harder to get a high or what we call low two. Here's the thing, right? In all my mock drafts and simulations, I see us trading back from 39 and we could get between 54 and 80 something, get a 50 something and an 80 something anyway, right? But why not why not pick up the phone and call one of those teams that's in the second round, 1 through 16, and get you a high second? Because now you have a high second, right? You got a high second, a low second, then you have your third. You actually have 2 seconds. If we trade back, we have 2 seconds, 2 thirds. If we get a 50 and a 80 something, and you're in the money with 2 seconds and two thirds in this draft, you making money. Midwest Monster say Poles already effing up. Midwest Monster, you giving up on Poles already, my boy? Come on, man. I appreciate you commenting. I appreciate your perspective. We need picks only. Somebody already said that. My boy Don Bird is in the chat. Of course, Don Bird is going to be here. Like I said yesterday, you're not official Bears channel until Don Bird is in the comments. Packers first, Detroit second. We come in Vikings, Bears. Don, honestly, I think, I think the division is after the Packers, the division is a toss-up, man. Still, because we don't know who we're gonna bring in. We don't know what team is gonna do what. All we know is the Packers have spent over $200 million. They franchised Davante Adams, so they won't have a whole lot of flexibility. Detroit can still make some moves. The Bears can certainly still make some moves. And the Vikings are showing their cards. The Vikings are going to Vike. Detroit going Detroit too. Let me go ahead and put that out there too. All right. Kasim said we have to trust polls. I agree. I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I'm not overreacting. I'm just saying what's logical and reasonable for any Bears fan to say. If we're going to trade Khalil Mack, give me us. Come on, man. You cannot logically say that it's unreasonable for a Bears fan to expect a second and at least a fourth or a second and another pick this year, despite what the Chargers took on salary wise. It's not unreasonable to expect that. I don't think there's a GM out there and the other 31 teams that looked at this trade and said, "Oh man, yeah, it's symbiotic. It's equitable on both sides. That the Bears got their due and the Chargers got theirs." Nobody logically says that, in my opinion. Gary says the Bears are simply moving money from the defense to the offense where they can now build around Justin Fields. Very smart and very necessary. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I don't disagree at all. I don't disagree with moving the money from the offense to the defense. But again, if you're gonna move, they targeted the biggest salary cap hit, right? It's a telling story. So the money took a priority over the style and the play and what he brings to the defense. Because all things being fair and equal, if Khalil wasn't taking up that much of the salary cap, do you move Eddie Goldman, Eddie Jackson, or one of the other older players that have equally regressed in their level of play over the last couple of years? All things being equal, let's throw the salary out the door. You got Eddie Jackson that just got a big contract a few years ago. You got who else on that team, on that defense that got a contract? That's pretty much it. You have Robert Quinn, who was signed for a big contract, not as much as Khalil, but do you move one of those other guys? I think the finances were the priority. So I'm not mad at the comment at all. I'm not mad at it. I think it's part of the truth. It's not holistically representing what I think we're trying to say, because there's arguments for the other guys as well. Bears will be in contention because we finally have a competent coach. Yeah, I don't doubt this coaching staff. I have faith and trust in the system, that the approach that Coach Flu is taking, right? I like the accountability. I like the acronyms. I like that stuff. I'm an old retired Marine. I like that stuff because that's how you learn. That's how you make things simple for people to remember. So I like the accountability. I think Flu is going to go through his own growing pains as a head coach. He's going to realize at some point that you can't plug and play stuff from other teams and add it into a different environment. It just goes. He's going to have to learn this team for himself and see what, buttons to push on certain players. Eddie Jackson being one of them if he stays, right? Eddie Goldman being the other if he stays. He's going to have to develop close personal relationship with those guys and find out their buttons to push to motivate them. That's his job. And I like this. I like the setup because he, unlike Nagy, he made himself a CEO of a team, a leader of men. So while the DC and OC are working out the technicalities of their different sides of the ball, he gets to be a leader of men and go to them individually and say, "Hey, man, listen, talk to me. Talk to me. What do you need from me?" Right? That's what you do. What do you need? Empire says, "You think we're going to be a rebuild?" I think we're in that mode, kind of, sorta, ish. I think the final verdict isn't out, right? We have to see what we do over the next few weeks leading up into the open market free agency, right? And then what happens in the draft. I think we still the verdict is still out. I think we're in a remodel mode, not necessarily rebuild, remodel, meaning the defense has always been a priority in Chicago. We may be remodeling and building this team around the identity of the offense, meaning you're going to see some stud offensive linemen come in at certain positions. I'm looking for somebody to come in at center. It's well documented. I like Ryan Jensen over Brian Allen because he fits a gap power scheme, right? Be on the lookout for your boy who just got released out of Las Vegas as well. I think his name is Eric Engel, one of the top fullbacks in the league. I tweeted about that earlier. I said nobody's going to pay attention to that. Just know that Coach T called it out, right? I just feel like you have to have a good fullback and a power gap scheme for the scheme to run like it should. Not outside zone, but I'm talking about pulling tackles, guards, tight ends, and even wide receivers up in gaps to take advantage of numbers, right? Baki said, be honored to be a moderator. Man, you know you my guy. Baki been riding with me before I started this on here. I think the Bears could have got more from the conversation. This is my man Drew goaded for Quinn, but they dealt Mack for a future. Yeah, that's why I say Drew is exactly right. Drew said, I thought they could have got more money for Quinn or got more for Quinn. Let's logically put that together, right? Quinn actually set a Bears record in sacks. So his value is extremely high right now, but he's taking up less salary cap. So for all intents and purposes, right, if you were looking to get bodies, if you really were looking for bodies, why not throw the line in the water? Not to say that they didn't. Throw the line in the water for Quinn, try to trade Quinn away, and keep your fan favorite. Follow the money. Follow the money. All right, let's see. Iceberg Slim says we're not in a total rebuild. I agree with you. Tommy Jiggle says we took a big hit. Defense wins chips. I agree. Don't disagree. But I have confidence. They haven't done anything crazy right now. I have confidence that this staff or this GM and this coach staff will put some people together. Space Ghost, my boy, fellow field soldier, says Eddie would play the Ethan Scott, Tank Johnson role, not the Tommy Harris role, in my opinion. Space, you gotta let me know what you mean by that. I kind of know where you're going with that, but to me, Tank Johnson and Tommy Harris, Eddie would play this guy, Ethan Scott. Yeah, Tank Johnson. I would compare Eddie Goldman to Tank Johnson, and not Tommy Harris. But if I have to take a raw look at both of Tank Johnson and Tommy Harris, they were big, they were athletic, they weren't sloppy fat guys, right? They weren't sloppy fat guys just eating up blocks in the interior defensive line. They were guys that could run even being 300-pounders. They were 300-pounders that could move, right? That's what I call a true 4-3 fit, whether you're at the 3 or the 1, right? The idea, again, to me, at a 4-3 defense, interior defense, is that you're able to get penetration, get quick up in the hole, fight through your gap, right? Get penetration, find the ball, and make a play. Not eat up blocks and then allow linebackers to flow and make a play. All right? I like this. Y'all keep the comments going. Do me a favor, though. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell, right? So do me a favor Do me this favor. Let me know, so far, based off of what we've done, where you think the Bears place in the division with Khalil Mack gone. Is this a season killer? Rock Davis said, where did we go, Coach Steve? What did we get from Matt? We got a second this year, pick number 48, Rock, and we got a 6 next year. That's it. Jeremy said Bears will get in the first round of the playoffs. Are we talking playoffs? Are we talking playoffs? Empire says the coach must have a plan. No way this happens if Eberflus doesn't sign off on it. For a defensive coach to let a player the caliber of Khalil Mack or the player that we thought he was, I think a lot of this comes into play because Bears fans are married to the idea of what Khalil Mack used to be, but hasn't displayed over the last year and a half. So we're expecting Khalil Mack with a new coaching staff to come out and dominate the league. Trade is a W. Harrison Graham, we have 123 in cap space in 23. Shout out to your boy, Harrison Graham. Y'all know Harrison Graham from Bears Now. Showing love and showing support. Always supported the channel from day one. Again, man, I'm not mad at it. I am not mad at the trade. I just say we got fleeced on probably a pick this year. I think add a fourth or a fifth to that pick, especially a fourth in this year's draft, and you come out with a decent roster filler type player that can help your team going forward. Drew Gold says it's not a season killer. Mac was going half the season. I agree. Don Berg says I'm laughing because Bears fans clown Detroit for Stafford rebuild trade. Now they're cleaning house, trying to make it sound good. Come on, Don Burr. Come on, Don Burr. Listen, man, I like Don. I like Don. But Don, what we not finna sit here and do is gaslight. Like every move the Detroit Lions make is not some kind of tragedy waiting to happen. That's the reason why we call it Detroiting, right? Yeah, we could rebuild till kingdom come. But at the end of the day, right? End of the day on Sunday at 1:00, when they line up and they drop that football in the middle of the field, or the coin toss happens, y'all know what's gonna happen in Detroit. Y'all know what's gonna happen. We gonna spank that, you know what? Don Burr. A little trash talk. All right. What do y'all think the Bears should do with either the 39 or the 48 pick? Now that we have 2 second-round picks, are we trading down with either of those picks? There are still scenarios when I run the mock draft where the Bears trade down the 39th pick and still can get a 50-something, 88, and 80-something. Going 2-for-1 with that pick, right? Going 2-for-1 with that pick. Now you have 2 seconds, right? You have a pick at either 38, 39, and 48, right? Move into the 50s, and you'll get a 80-something pick to go along with the other third. So 2 seconds and 2/3. Can we turn that into 3 seconds and 2/3? I did have that scenario in a mock as well. I think what answer that question for me. I think what Jeremy is getting to 123 in cap space next season. Harrison, I thought it was going to be in the 60s, but you know, that's y'all's niche, man. I'm an X's and O's guy. I'm stepping into y'all's lane for a hot second, right? To talk about the salary cap stuff. But I trust Harrison and gang and others on Bears YouTube. Y'all, shout out my boy Harrison Graham again for showing love, man. That man has over there at Bears Now like 42 million followers, and they come hang out with me. All right, Rock Davis says, yo, Coach T, I do not blame the defense for poor play because I know what run that defense in the ground. They had no offense. Rock, I don't disagree with you, my boy. That defense is on field a lot over the last 3 or 4 years. And I think, again, we talked about Khalil Mack's uninspired play, Eddie Gold's uninspired play. Nobody, and I repeat, nobody takes more of a beating on the football field than an offensive defensive lineman. Imagine I wrestled in high school and I played football. right? And I did that for a reason. Wrestling kind of, develops your hand fighting skills and your quick twitch muscles as an offensive defensive lineman. But nothing is harder, bro, than wrestling on the offense and defensive lineman on the offensive defensive line for 48 minutes or however many snaps our defense was getting during the game. That offensive defensive line was beat down, particularly our defensive line. So, Rock, I don't disagree with you. I'm not agreeing just to agree. That's a great point, right? Get more picks, Julius Williams says. I'm only going to be on here for about 10 more minutes. Jeremy Hood, Perrion Winfrey, and any big wide receiver. I say Watson's in play. If we want to talk about specific picks in the draft, I say Watson's in play, even though he's moving up a lot of people's draft boards, right? In my mocks after the combine, Watson was not available at pick 50-something. He was there before. He was placed somewhere behind Pickens and Ross before. Now he's moved up and he's in the 40s or 30-something. So I don't know. I think Watson is there. What I'm scared and nervous about with Watson is he hasn't seen that level of competition, right? He hasn't seen that level of competition playing in the FCS school. George Pickens and Ross been that dude. AAVE on purpose right there. They been that dude, right? They been that dude. Pickens been on the big stage versus Alabama, right? Showed it, got the chip versus Alabama. Ross been at Clemson, right? Playing big games. So there's a little bit of risk there with Watson too. What you're betting on is that 4'2", 4'3", 40 and that 6'4", 6'5", 205, 210-pound frame is going to be a generational talent. That's what you're betting on. I think they go after him. Oh, my God. Somebody's talking about David Bell in the comments. Empire's talking about David Bell. Where are my field soldiers at? Where are my field soldiers at? Y'all already know I'm finna get him. Listen, Empire, I appreciate you, man. We love you on the program, boy, my boy. But listen, we cannot talk about Bell. Bell is dire A-Rob to me. You got to go back and watch the other videos. I'll break it down into X's and O's. I'm not doing it right here. Bell is dire A-Rob. Why is matter of fact, I'm going to appease you. Why is Bell dire A-Rob? Because Bell cannot command too high safety. He does not stretch the defense. He's not stretching defense as an offense for you. With Bell, I can do what I do with A-Rob. If I'm a defensive coordinator, I sit in single high safety. I play cover band coverage and cover 3. I load the box so I can stop the run and dare y'all to throw the ball of Bell over my head. He's not burning nobody. If I'm a corner, I'm press coverage on him all day long, and I'm going to force you to run a 9 route on me and eat your lunch all day long because you're not blowing past anybody with a 4.6. We had a defensive lineman almost run the same 40 as David Bell did. Discussion over. Yo, Coach T, they get rid of Mack, Rock Davis. If they get rid of Mack, I know they are planning to free up some of that money. Oh, yeah. That's the move, Rock. Brandon Livingston, with his government name up in here, said it's not a season killer, but a sign we're building for the future. Besides, we only had Mack for 6 games this past year. I think I already addressed that comment. Listen, man. No, original one said I would not draft Bell, no yak. Here's the thing, though. I actually think to the contrary, where he will excel is underneath. He's going to give you digs. He's going to give you hitches, ins, outs. He's going to give you the ball on quick bubbles, tunnel screens. You might even move him to the backfield, right? You might give him the ball on the jet sweep. Well, he's going to take the jet out of sweep. I don't know what you would call it. What would you call it? A John Deere action? Because he ain't jet nothing at a 4.6. He ain't jet nothing at a 4.6. You would have to call that a John Deere sweep, a tractor sweep, because that ain't jet. But you can give it, he gonna give you A-Rob. He's diet A-Rob. You know how it is when you go get a diet Dr. Pepper and you hoping it tastes like the real Dr. Pepper. He ain't even the real deal, man. I think he's gonna be that one guy that sits in the draft room for a long time, sitting there wondering why, why nobody loves me. He's gonna be the last guy picked. Not the last guy picked, but he's gonna slip. Just my opinion. All right. I told y'all I'm getting out of here. I'm giving y'all 2 more minutes and we off here. I don't want Bell, but Watson, Pickens, Alec Pierce, and Sky Moore. I'm all in. Cornelius Quells, shout out to you, my boy. Everybody's sleeping on Sky Moore. Sky Moore is my guy. Sky Moore out of Western Michigan is the guy that I've been calling for since day one. I think he is going to be a difference maker on some team. His build, he's built like a running back at the wide receiver position. Has the speed, 4.3, 4.4 guy, but he's a 5'10 guy, but he's built like a running back. That's my Diet Debo. Diet Debo. Right? You can line him up anywhere. You can put him out at the Z position, X, Z, right? You can put him in the slot, bubbles, tunnels, hitches, digs, rubs, right? Drags over the middle, line him up in the backfield. Iceberg Sim says Bell to Detroit. Bell can have him. Matter of fact, I heard Detroit may get A-Rob. Knock yourself out. Detroiting. Where's Don Burke? You can have Bell and A-Rob, Detroit. Like I said, I'm going to sit in man coverage, press. I'm going to sit in a lap. Pause. That don't sound right. Nah, I ain't sitting in a lap. I'm sitting in press coverage, man to man against Bell and A-Rob and daring them to throw the ball over my head. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, the tractor sweep, that ain't no jet sweep, my boy. That's a tractor sweep with Bell. Y'all can have them. But Moore, back to Moore. Listen, look for Moore. I'm telling you, I don't care what team he goes to. Look for Moore, running back at the wide receiver position. That dude, to me, on film, he just jumps out. He just jumps out. I said it. I've only said that about certain people, man. I said it about when I was still coaching high school ball, and I saw Isaiah Wynn for the first time on the other sideline. Isaiah Wynn just jumped out on film. I was like, oh my God, this dude is going to the NFL. We saw him twice that year. We beat him twice. Isaiah Wynn up at, I think Isaiah is at New England. He plays for New England. That same team Isaiah Wynn was on that I was coaching against had Rodney Adams. Had Rodney Adams on that team. That team also had the Griffin twins. Shaquem and Shaquille Griffin. They were in our division. Lakewood High School, St. Pete, Florida. I was at Tampa Robinson. We beat them twice. Ain't no way in hell we should have beat that team twice. They had at least 10 NFLers on that team. I think, matter of fact, Marquez Valdez Scanlon was on that team as well, if I'm not mistaken. So, Coach know a little something about football, man. I'm just saying. All right, we out of here, man. That's 45 minutes, bro. Thanks for joining live. Y'all heard it, bro. Khalil Mack off to the Chargers for a 2nd and 6 next year. Ryan Poles, man, I hope you know what you're doing, bro. But in Ryan, we trust. Until then, until next time, man, I'll see y'all Saturday. Tune in to the live Saturday, man. I think I'm going to start going in on the defense, and we're going to have some film breakdown. Y'all know that's my specialty, breaking down the film. I think we're going to start on the defense breaking down, or I'm going to do a live mock draft. I'll do my first live mock using the PFF simulator on that live, and we can talk about the live, about the mock as we go through the live and what we can and what we can't do. Now it's going to be interesting now to do the mock based off the fact that we have 2 second-round picks. I don't know what's going to happen. So join, and we're going to be in here. Shout out to everybody, man. Shout out to Don Bird. Shout out to all the field soldiers. Thanks for joining the live, man. I'll see y'all next time, bro. And we out.